Hi friends, I am going to talk about Digestion 101 really quickly. So super interesting. There's obviously so much to the digestive system and it's a huge field, all dietary and nutritional stuff as well as how the body actually functions. So this is a very condensed version. So basically this is the torso here. So we have, these are boobs up the top, this is belly button, and this is sort of where the ribs are, and this is where the groin or pelvis is. And this section is split into three parts. That we're talking Chinese med terms at the moment. So this is called the san jiao, san meaning three, and jiao meaning section. So basically these three sections need to function together to operate smoothly and basically send information through all these parts. So in the top we have like lung and heart doing their main thing. Here is digestive organs, and here are all our drainage organs, so any that are like clearing waste, things like kidneys, bladder, large intestine, small intestine. So we move over to this picture here, and so same deal with the torso. In Chinese medicine, we always work on this sort of understanding. So there is a fire in our last section here, which needs to, it's basically like our life force. It's basically like our heat, our metabolism, our drive. That's what keeps everything going in our body. And a few IGTVs back, I talk about the difference between a dead body and an alive body, and that one is got this life force and the other one doesn't. So you can go back and have a look at that if you like. In the middle here, where all the digestive organs are, this is really important. This is our cooking pot. So this is essentially where everything gets processed and metabolized. And then this top layer here, or this top level, is what we call the mist. So it is responsible for anything that's being cooked in here. It's then going to steam up, mainly sort of fluids and nutrients, you could say, and then they will be circulated throughout the body and reabsorbed again. Usually this section is really working on more of a nourishing for like the skin, the hair, the eyes, that sort of thing. So it's really important that this internal fire is nice and happy and nice and strong to actually be able to metabolize everything in here. And when this fire is on, then things can be broken down properly. We don't have any food sensitivities. There's no digestive symptoms like bloating or anything like that. This fire is also really important to control to control fluid metabolism and make sure that we don't have like any fluid stagnating anywhere, that all, like I was saying before, the skin and hair and all of that is nice and nourished, and all the fluid is moving through all the body, especially in and out of the cells correctly. And symptoms we might notice, especially as females, if that's not working well, is things like dryness or being thirsty even though we're drinking a lot, things like that. So the big thing with that as well is, this is our body again, is that when we talk stool, we really want to make sure that this internal fire is actually cooking everything properly. And then when we talk about stool, we want to make sure that the stool is nice and formed, almost like you could pick it up. I know this all sounds gross, but this is what we need to talk about. So nice and formed, and basically when it moves through, this is the large intestine, it's about 1.5 meters, usually more so in the lower section of the body, always in the lower section of the body. But when we're talking about the large intestine, it's an incredible organ and it has to do a lot of different jobs. One of these is using peristalsis, so it's a soft muscle, so it's basically moving and pushing the stool through this whole section as it goes around. And it's sort of like making a patty, you could say. So if you've ever made a meat patty or oven patty, you're like trying to form it and like process it in the same way as in the same time as that you're actually moving it through. One of the big jobs it has to do is absorb any extra fluid out of this stool that's moving through, and it gets reabsorbed back into the system. So this is really important to make sure that we don't have a sluggish stool. So that means we're skipping days or the stool's moving through too slowly, because it will start reabsorbing toxins back into the system. So we really don't want that to happen. We also don't want things to move through too quickly here, because it means that we're not actually absorbing things enough and that we're not getting the right nutrients from things, and it's actually starting to burden the system too much because it's having to move and work too hard and move too quickly. So if we're talking stool again, we don't really want a soft stool or sticky stool or little pieces of stool. We want a nice full solid movement, bowel movement, and what we call complete, so it doesn't feel like you still need to go. It's completely evacuated, which means that all of this will be nice and clean as well. So you might have heard of things like colonics, which basically flush a whole bunch of water through here to try and remove any plaques, like little bits of stool that are still stuck on the wall of the large intestine. And if we are aiming for a happy stool, so happy bowel movements where it's complete, like I just mentioned, it means that it's actually cleaning this whole intestine as it's moving through. So it's essentially the best cleanse you could get by having a good, happy digestive system and a happy bowel movement. So I hope that makes sense. There's lots more to come on this, and let me know. I'd love to hear from you what you think of this.